Can you control exactly how many people buy and how all of the sales are going to go? No. That's the part where we have to collaborate with other human beings and trust that they're going to show up. Your job is to control the things you can control by focusing on process versus focusing on results. And rather than focusing on how you feel about the process or the results and the story you tell yourself about the process and the results. Hello and welcome to the Inner Game of Entrepreneurship podcast. I'm your host, Sarah, and this is the final episode in our mid-year revenue rescue series. If you're just popping in, all this month I've been talking about if you set a big, hairy, scary, sexy revenue goal for 2026 back in January, and now it's June and you are nowhere near your goal, what do you need to do to get back on track? So if you're just hopping in now, go back and listen to episodes 1 through 4, and then come back to this one when you're done. I will wait. Okay, so glad you're back. Now, the final episode of this series is not as strategic. We've been very strategic this season or this series. We talked in the first episode about what happened. How did we land here? And really analyzing what did I do or not do in the first half of the year that resulted in me being so far off of my goal. Then in episode 2, we talked about getting ruthless and cutting everything that's not a revenue generating activity. So no creating a new website, no working on new branding, no coming up with new graphics, no building a new funnel from scratch, no creating new offers. We are honing in on what is already working, and we're getting very focused on doing revenue generating activity only. That is how you should be spending the majority of your work time for the rest of the year. In episode 3, we talked about increasing the volume of sales activity happening in your business, increasing the number of people you're having direct sales conversations with, the number of people you're inviting into your offers. We are trying to get more people moving through your sales process. And in episode 4, we talked about creating a big high leverage Black Friday, winter holidays, New Year's offer, and trying to enroll a lot of people into your business in quarter 4. And now we've come to the final episode of the series, and I considered going a lot of different directions. I considered talking about not focusing on trying to bring in new people necessarily, and maybe focusing on really trying to sell to your warmest leads, your warmest audience, people who almost bought, people who bought something low ticket and never bought again, people who are already on your email list. That was the direction I thought about going. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that what I really needed to talk to you about today is getting into a little bit of a blue collar work ethic with your prescription for the rest of the year. Because this really is simple, but it's not necessarily easy. And all of these prescriptions I've given you are very straightforward. They're very, very clear. They're very strategic. They're very simple. Get clear on what went wrong. Cut all non-revenue generating activity. Make more invitations. Plan a strong Q4 sale. Very straightforward things. This will serve you well if you do it. Intellectually knowing that these things are a good idea and being like, yeah, that's a really smart plan, and then not doing it will not help you. And something that's been coming up a lot in my world lately with my clients, even in some ways with myself, in conversations I've been having in Powerhouse Mastermind, is that thinking ain't doing. And we know that. But for those of us who are seekers, who are highly intellectual and highly verbal, who are very spiritual, who enjoy inner work and self-analysis and understanding things, frequently we grew up in situations where our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings did not really have a lot of space. And then we came to inner work to make our emotional world real and be like, hey, my feelings are real. My inner experience is valid. I want to understand myself. I want to understand my patterns. I want to see why I keep doing the things I'm doing and why I'm acting the way I'm acting, why I'm having the thoughts I'm having and feeling the feelings I'm feeling, right? All those things. And that is really, really good. and it is really, really valuable. And then it can become a place that we stay stuck and a new way that we procrastinate. And one of the ways that it can become that is that we spend a lot of time trying to understand why we are the way we are, why we're doing the things we're doing, why things are happening the way that they're happening, and not as much time trying to take new actions. And we can really get ourselves stuck. And sometimes it can be like, oh, well, I'm really overwhelmed by taking direct sales actions. That feels uncomfortable to me. But rather than encouraging myself to do a little exposure therapy and just try to do it and see what happens, I'm instead going to spend a bunch of months trying to understand why I feel like that and do a bunch of inner work on my fear of visibility and go to take a whole other course on overcoming fear of visibility. And I'm going to go take a course on how to do high ticket sales. And I'm going to journal a whole bunch on why I feel uncomfortable, right? Do you see what I'm saying? So now we're spending months working on our feelings about not doing the thing instead of just doing the thing. This happens a lot. And this is why chop wood, carry water is the height of spiritual practice. No matter how you feel, the wood still needs to be chopped. The water still needs to be carried. The floor still needs to be swept. The things need to get done. Whether you're happy or sad or scared or overwhelmed, the things still need to get done. And I want to be careful here because I'm not suggesting that you ignore your emotions, and I'm not suggesting that you override your own experience or pretend that you don't feel the things you're feeling. But capacity, right? The real meaning of the word capacity, to become a larger vessel, a bigger container, to be able to carry more, to be able to say, I feel overwhelmed and I'm sending 15 pitches today. I feel scared and I'm putting out a direct sales offer to 5 people today. I feel afraid that I'm not going to make my goal and I'm going to invite all of my past clients to get onto a Zoom with me. I'm doing the action anyway. There's that feel the fear and do it anyway saying that is a little cliche, but cliches are cliche for a reason. Feel the fear and do it anyway, right? Your little self is going, oh no, I'm scared to do this. And instead of going, hey, it's okay. We can face our fears. I've got you. I'm going to take you by the hand and I'm going to hold the flashlight, but we're going together. The basement's not that scary. We're saying, oh no, my little one is afraid of going into the basement. So let's spend 6 months analyzing why they're afraid of going into the basement. That's not really going to help. It's not really going to help. Now, if you are flooded, right? If you are so nervous system overwhelmed about taking an action that you are not going to be productive, that you literally can't do it, take a break, resource yourself, come back. But that break is not a 1 month break or a 2 month break. That break is an hour, 2 hours. Go for a walk, eat some food, phone a friend, talk to your coach, get your mind right, find the next right action and take it. And this is really important because when we can allow ourselves to get a little blue collar about the work, we just show up and we do the task. When we focus more on the process that we can control, it makes the doing easier. So your job is not necessarily to control how many sales you make. It's to control how many sales actions you take. That's the part you can control. You can control whether or not you send 15 emails today. You can control whether or not you send a sales email 5 days a week for the rest of the year. You can control whether or not you make direct follow-ups to past clients and invite them into something new. You can control whether or not you get your Black Friday marketing planned out in advance. Those are all things you can control. Can you control exactly how many people buy and how all of the sales are going to go? No. That's the part where we have to collaborate with other human beings and trust that they're going to show up. Your job is to control the things you can control by focusing on process versus focusing on results. And rather than focusing on how you feel about the process or the results and the story you tell yourself about the process and the results. So you might start taking my advice and making a handful of pitches or putting out more direct sales content. And after a week, you haven't hit your sales goal yet. And you go, this is stupid. This isn't working. Nobody wants this. I'm being salesy. Right now, I'm telling myself a bunch of unhelpful stories about what the data means. Data doesn't really mean that, right? That's just what I'm telling myself about what the data means. And then I'm feeling discouraged and I'm saying, well, now I feel discouraged and this isn't working. And next thing you know, you're back to, I should go try to get 1,000 new people. I should build an entirely new funnel. I should launch an entirely new offer. I should go redesign my website. And we're right back to episode 2. No extraneous, non-revenue generating activities. It is very easy to talk ourselves out of being consistent with the moves that will actually make a difference. It's not glamorous. And I talk with my clients a lot about being a little bit more blue collar, because sometimes with spiritual and creative entrepreneurs, we want to work when we're inspired. And we want to work when we feel creative and when we feel in flow and when we feel excited. And that's beautiful. But we can't always only work when we feel inspired and when we feel creative. Another thing is that if we put too much energy on only working when we feel a certain way, we've now put too much pressure on our own emotional state. And that can actually be self-defeating. It feels like too much pressure. If I don't feel inspired, then I can't create anything. Well, now I haven't felt inspired in 2 weeks, so now I can't create anything. So how come I'm not feeling inspired, right? We created another problem. But creativity can be found in the daily practice, can be found in the motion, right? The writers who write 500 words a day, no matter what. And the goal is not that every single day, all of those 500 words are brilliant. The goal is that you stay in motion, that you stay in flow, that the more you generate, the higher the likelihood that something will be brilliant. We just stay in the flow of doing the task. If you are a long distance truck driver and you have to drive a certain number of miles today, it doesn't matter how you feel while you're doing the driving. That's just the number of miles you have to hit. You get in the cab of the truck and you drive. I grew up with a parent who owned a store, right? And so something I think about every day with sending emails and social media posts is that if I had a brick and mortar store every day, I would unlock the door, turn on the light, flip over the sign, turn the music on, and sit at the register. Doesn't matter if that is a high foot traffic day or a completely slow day where you end up just like playing flip cup on the counter all day with your coworkers because there's no one in and there's nothing to do. Every day, you turn on the light, you flip the sign, you open the door, the store is open. I don't have a brick and mortar location here. So me making a post, posting a story, sharing an offer, sending an email is me saying, hey, my business is open. I'm here. I exist. And it doesn't matter if every day results in going viral and getting a bunch of new followers and getting a ton of new traffic. It doesn't matter if every single email results in a sale. That's not the point. The point is the chop wood, carry water of it. The point is having a regular, consistent routine of opening the doors of my business and letting everybody know that my business exists. And at a certain point, consistency becomes credibility. Consistency becomes trust. Consistency becomes its own expertise. Consistency becomes reliability. When people can look back and be like, this person always emails. This person always posts. This person always sends reach outs. This person is always pitching. This business is always active. That means they are a trustworthy organization. I'm not going to send my money to them and they're going to disappear. I want that, right? Other potential entrepreneurs or customers, they're like, I want that. I want to know that if I send money to this person to buy something, that I'm going to hear from them, that I'm going to get the thing I ordered because they're present. I can trust that this is a real solid business with systems. That just comes from your consistency. So, your inner mission for the rest of the year is to put one foot in front of the other, is to take the next right action, is to set your sights on this plan and stick to it 30 days at a time for the rest of the year. Yes, you can analyze. Yes, you can make adjustments. Yes, you can see what sales activities are yielding the best results and double down on those or switch your plan. Sure. But make sure that you are not allowing yourself to veer off into becoming highly emotional about what is and is not happening, talk yourself out of the plan, and ditch it within the next 30 days. Make a simple plan and stick to it. That's what's going to get you somewhere. Somewhere. Maybe not all the way to your goal, but hopefully all the way to your goal and beyond it. Try it out. See what happens. I hope that this series has been valuable for you. I would love to hear your feedback. I would love for you to leave a review of the podcast. If you have never done that before, it really helps me out. I would love to hear your thoughts. You can DM me on Instagram, Inner Game of Entrepreneurship Pod, or you can DM me on my Intuitive Edge Coaching page. You can email me, intuitiveedgecoaching@gmail.com. That goes directly to me. And if you would like to sit down with me and plan out your second half of the year initiative and just get really clear on exactly what to do, to know exactly what your most profitable high leverage moves are and what order to do them in, we can do that in a CEO Direction Intensive, a one-off 2-hour session where we get together. You're going to tell me all of the ideas that you have in your head and all of the different things that you could do and all of the ways that you're overthinking, and I will help you organize them all, sort them out, hone in on the most high leverage, most profitable moves you can make, clear all of the distractions, and make a plan you can actually execute. And you get 2 weeks of Voxer support afterwards, so that if you have questions or wobbles or second guesses, or you start implementing the plan and a new problem comes up, you can voice note me and get some feedback right away. Those are $1,500, and I have Klarna and Afterpay and all of those things available at checkout. I will leave a link for that in the show notes. I hope that you enjoyed this series and that it was helpful for you. Let me know what you implement. Let me know what happens. Okay, love you. Bye.
That's our episode for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. I know there are so many things that you could be doing with your day, so many things you could be listening to, and it means so much that you are here in this community. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment, share it on social media, and tag me at Intuitive Edge Coaching. Share it with a biz bestie who you think needs to hear it and will appreciate it. And take a moment to to subscribe, and to leave a 5-star review wherever you are listening. It helps me grow this show, and it helps us grow and sustain this brilliant community of entrepreneurs dedicated to doing the inner work. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, love you. Bye.